Hello and welcome to another edition of Workforce Watercooler. My name is Leslie. Joining me as always, we have John and Brian. We all work for the South Central Workforce Development Board. And today's edition will be slightly different because the three of us will share one topic. The public wants us to mix it up, and that's what we're doing. So one topic. What we will be discussing is in relation to our upcoming workforce summit. We need employers and community organizations to respond to a survey. We have been sending that out. It is also available on our website. I'll show you a picture real quick. So this graphic, or some derivative of this graphic, has been going out on social media, and what it does is links to a survey. And our topic is talking about the responses we've gotten so far, why it's important, and sharing some of the responses that we've gotten, because they're extremely thoughtful and very insightful as well. I wanted to start just by saying I am thrilled to announce that we have representation from every county in our region with the survey. We have answered multiple responses, yes, from every county. And we want to keep those coming. We want to get as much representation for your county as possible. So I wanted to start us off with that. John, Brian, why do you think this survey is important? It's sort of like the first step for our summit. Why is this survey important?
You want me to go, or Brian?
Go ahead. Go for it.
I'll just lead off. We want to focus this summit on the topic of workforce participation. That is the number one issue in our region. It's really the number one issue across the state and across the nation right now. There's a lack of workforce participation going on. That's putting a lot of employers in a bad spot. Quite frankly, it's putting them at tremendous risk. And really, we've been looking at labor force participation rates for well before COVID, and the state of Kentucky and South Central Kentucky have lagged the nation in workforce participation. So it's not something new to us, and it's something that we've got to tackle as a community. And that's what we hope to do with this summit. Is let's have some honest dialogue with what is happening with workforce participation. Why aren't people working? What can we do differently? How do we attract and encourage more people to get back into the workforce? What are the social, mental, and health benefits of working besides just financial benefits? We got to have that kind of conversation. And this survey is kind of a first step to ask people to, hey, weigh in and give us your thoughts on this. We are trying to avoid in the survey. Right now the most common response is going to be it's extra unemployment. Our workforce board and nobody in our region can directly control governmental policy. So we're trying to say, okay, beyond governmental policy, which we can't control right now, that's something we have to influence differently. What can we do? I mean, are there cultural things, attitudinal things that we can address? And let's address those. Let's talk about those and address them. Let's be honest about it and figure out how we roll up our sleeves and put a dent into this issue. So those are my 2 cents on it.
And I'm going to pull up this slide one more time, just because to me this really drives home the importance of workforce participation. In our 10-county region of South Central Kentucky, we have around 80,000 people between the ages of 16 and 64 who are not working. And that equates to about a 59% workforce participation rate, correct?
Correct.
So we have about 41% of our population, so 80,000 people who are not working. And we're looking to get to the root causes of that. Until we know the causes, we can't really propose effective solutions. So I thought seeing that number would really drive home your point.
Yeah,
Brian, what?
It's a startling number, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And we should be shocked about it. We should be going, okay, what the heck is going on here? I mean, we're talking about 8,000 open jobs, but we have 80,000 people who could be working that aren't. I mean, this should be easily solved, but it's not going to be easily solved till we have this kind of conversation and start figuring it out at the community level.
Right, right. You know, it's what we know has happened is that I mean, pivot's been that's like the overused word of 2020, I think, right? But this certainly has happened, and for employers, I think that they've had to think not just about whatever product that they normally sell or push or come together to try to do whatever the purpose of the company is, but now they're thinking about what makes their company distinct and a high quality place to work, a high quality place to want to build a career. We've been hearing about, the demographic shift for years, that we're supposed to be having a lot of people retiring, over the next several years, and that we don't have enough young people to really, feed in and fill in. And so there's a lot of people that just say, I hope that the next generation can learn what I know and build and have opportunities that I've had. I hope they choose this career. I hope they, and there's feedback coming in on the survey, from overlooked sectors of the economy that are very viable, career sustaining, income sustaining opportunities, and they want to push the message to young people, hey, think about us, consider us, don't just avoid us, and that's an element that needs to happen too. But we see a lot of companies trying new things, and I think ultimately what you have at companies is you have people that might normally do the hiring and the interview process, but as far as the marketing and communications and what makes it what builds the culture, what makes it a great place to want to stay at and be retained, this is kind of a big experiment going on right now. How do you not just bring in people, but how do you keep them? And I think enough things have been tried now that they're getting some feedback at each of these companies. And we want to be able to offer them more. We don't want it to just go try these things on your own and report back. This is not meant to be information that stays with the workforce board, so we can sit back and look at it and go, oh, okay, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea. We want to share anything and everything, so that if things are firing on all cylinders here lately, we're seeing some that are saying we're putting incentives out, we're putting bonuses out, we're putting if you got vaccinated as an additional bonus, we're putting flexible schedules. Some of these things are still even brand new. And we're hoping here in the next month we can have more of a conversation with employers that might be willing to give a little bit more detail and sit around the table with other employers, and then we can present this information back at our summit. So that's ultimately what it is. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to give us the feedback, because we want to share that, and we want to ultimately offer not just those that come to the summit, but the wider business community some of these solutions.
Exactly.
Or potential solutions, and they're not easy. I mean, this is not just give us your greatest hits and then we'll put it out there. I mean, some of these things really take a lot of structure. They may take a lot of cost, investment of time and energy and resources, like everything does. But there could be hopefully some things that people walk out of the summit and say, I'm going to go back and ask management today if we can try some of these things, because it's working, down the road, or it's working several counties over.
Right, and that really is our goal for the summit. We don't want it to be just wow, that was interesting information. Now I'll go back and finish the rest of my workday. We want it to be a starting point for employers and community organizations to say, okay, that was great information. Now here's how I can put it to use. And that really is at the core. One of the questions that we ask on the survey is, how has your company or organization encouraged labor force participation? Were there any responses? And again, we're keeping all the respondents confidential, But were there any responses that stood out to you all as having a lot of insight, or you found them particularly interesting?
Well, it's hard to pick.
And
We're
there's
saying,
a lot. There's a lot.
yeah. I think there's one. I think some of these companies, again, that may have invested or are starting to invest more in just how they can show the pathway, right? It's not just that current job that you might have available and have an available need for tonight even. It's what makes this a long-term, good option and good place to work. So investing in some of these, what we would call career pathways, internal training programs and things like that.
Yeah.
I think, companies have had these for years. It's just a matter of you maybe had to get in certain positions or you had to work there a certain amount of time, but talk about that, right? Show that pathway, put it out there from day one so that people can envision themselves being not in the same place 20 years later, but through different parts of the company and what the company will do to support that. I think that's pretty innovative to hear what companies are doing there.
One of the things that I had marked, an employer says that they've implemented a $1,000 employee referral bonus, where the recommending employee and their suggested new hire both receive a bonus after a period of time, and then also a $100 new hire bonus. And I think the idea of current employees referring people is very powerful, because if you get a firsthand conversation with someone who is working somewhere and they're saying, "Oh, this is a great place. We have this and this and this and this." I mean, that kind of interaction, it could be that previously the employee wouldn't necessarily think about being almost a recruiter for their company. But this implementation puts them in a different, mindset. I need to talk to people who I think would be good employees. So I thought that one stood out.
John, did you have any that stood out?
Well, Brian, I think you kind of hit the ones that I was thinking about. Just kind of zooming out, I mean, to me, when I look at all the questions kind of in total, I mean, one of the themes that pops out to me is creating more awareness of opportunities, awareness of the trades, awareness of, having employees recruit potential, other folks is really an awareness campaign, right? They're going, okay, I know somebody that might be able to do this. Let me go talk to them about this and create that awareness about the opportunities that we have in the company. So that's a little bit more of a macro thought on it, but it's about creating more awareness about either what the industry or what the particular company has to offer. Educating the consumer, right? The consumer being hopefully the job seeker, and making them aware of career paths, educational opportunities, bonuses, and the like.
And a lot of the responses that have really jumped out at me talk about the culture of the company, the environment of the company. I think that employers are starting to look at those things not just as a nice to have, but we need to have this. We need to have a sense of, this is our company culture. This is, these are the things, the sort of fringe benefits of our company. And as a communication person, those things get me fired up, as far as, this, we need to humanize this company. We need to help employers see that the cultural and social elements and the feeling of being a team, that's a big factor for a lot of people, especially when you've got employers offering similar wages, similar bonuses. your company has to stand out in ways other than that. And to me, that's a very exciting trend that I'm starting to see with the responses.
Yeah, and I see things on here too where I think some of the employers are pointing to their own reputations as something that has helped, and that can't be built obviously overnight or with a bonus incentive or something like that. Because we're seeing a lot of employers put the bonus incentives, and obviously we know that this has been going on as a phenomenon this summer and into the spring, back in the spring. And it's always great to hear about people having opportunity to increase their wages and maybe be able to have some immediate income in their pocket. I mean, some of those things again have been tried for years. I know of police departments, that have tried to do that because that's hard to recruit for, career and job opportunity. But the reputation, and Lindsay, you were hinting at that too. I mean, just that it's a stable environment, a stable place to work. And let's just admit, a lot of things are unstable right now. But if it could be, we can control what we can control, right? We can control how we treat each other and how we communicate, how we try to cover for each other and and step up. But then you're sensing too, I think, in the feedback from some of these places that burnout is very much affecting a lot of the workers that have been retained during this time. And there's something to be said. I mean, kudos to those that haven't missed a day of work, for the whole entire pandemic that we've been going through. Because I know a lot of people feel like, well, what about me? I've been in it. I've been doing it every day, and I've been covering. You think, how much more do we need to bend over to help people, to incentivize them or whatever? Well, a lot of that starts with just ethic, right? And the work ethic. A lot of the employers are giving us that feedback back too, that there's just been a change in attitude about work. And that's going to take a long time, and that's going to be like a K through 12 and college level and past that. But we don't need to have people that are burned out, that they just feel a bad taste in their mouth about working hard and sticking through things, right? Like, it kind of goes both ways, right? You got to kind of see the value that you bring to it and the value that the employer brings. But again, all of this feedback will be things that we want to show and demonstrate and give out there, because we know there's some people that are so busy they can't even stop and think about how to make things better right now, and they just they're probably going to be very hungry for some answers and some opportunities that they can learn about.
Yeah, Brian, on that note about work ethic, I mean, that's what I want us to partly drill down into is, you can offer all the bonuses in the world, you can offer all the incentives in the world, you can have the greatest company in the world, but if somebody doesn't want to work, it doesn't matter. What do we do about that person? I mean, that's where we have to really get real with ourselves and peel this back. I mean, why? And this is, our optional question on the survey really kind of gets after this. What is going on? Like, why this shift? I mean, I think about my grandparents. I mean, they would be appalled. Having survived the Great Recession, having come up through World War II, having, coming through the baby boomer, you know what I mean? I mean, there's just a much different attitude towards work than there used to be. What in the heck is going on? I mean, that's where I think, I would love to get people's feedback on this. Government programming aside, what is it? What's going on? How do we address it? I mean, how do we change our attitudes towards work? I mean, who has to be involved in that conversation? I mean, I've been saying this for a while. I mean, I'm tipping my hand here, but I mean, I think anybody that's in any type of leadership position in our community needs to be talking about the value of work. Parents, educators, faith leaders, business leaders, political leaders. We need to be on the same sheet of music about this, because we've lost our way. I mean, everybody can't be an Instagram influencer on vacation, taking pretty photos, right? I mean, that you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Somebody, and I'm more of a Mike Rowe kind of guy. Somebody's got to go out and do those dirty jobs to make our, not just society, but to make our community function. I mean, we need plumbers and electricians, and we need people to deliver fuel and gas and propane. You know what I mean? We got to have people that install windows. We have to have people that stock grocery shelves. If we don't have that, you know, we're getting a taste of what's going on right now, where there's long waits to go through a drive-through, or there's shortages on the shelves. I have a text message within the last hour saying that one of our major attractions in Bowling Green is at risk of having to close up because they don't have enough workers at the attraction. And I've got to, after this, I'm going to make a call to that company. I mean, we got to get after this, and I know I'm preaching. I'm on the pedestal right now. I'm preaching, but we have got to figure this out. This is not just about flexible work hours or bonuses. Those are definitely worthwhile, but I'm saying it's beyond just that. And so that's what I hope to enable, this level of dialogue in our summit.
And
all right, I'm back. I'm backing off.
All right, John has stepped away from the mic. But I do think everything you said, it all goes back to why getting responses is so incredibly important. This is a short survey. I think there are 4 questions and 1 optional question, if I'm not mistaken. And you can get through the survey quickly, but it is, we've gotten at this moment, this recording, we're at about 60 responses. We would like to see that at least up to 100 by the close of business tomorrow. So we are challenging our employers, our community organizations. We need your input. And it's not just to help us have a good summit. This is our entire region working together to combat a crisis. We need your input. So to get to the survey that we've been mentioning on workforce participation, you go to southcentralworkforce.com, and as soon as you go to our website, the survey pops up. So southcentralworkforce.com, the survey will pop up, and you just click it and go. And it is already proving to be insightful. And the more responses we get, we need responses from every single county. We need responses from small businesses. We haven't gotten a lot of response from them. So this is our plea. It's like in Jerry Maguire, help me, help you. That's what we're doing. I'm not going to scream, show me the money, but I will say, help me, help you. Because we're all in this together. We want South Central Kentucky to be the absolute best it can be, and this is something I think that we're taking the initiative to have these discussions, and some of them may be challenging, but it's needed.
Yep.
So this week you don't need to comment. You just need to go to the survey and answer the questions.
That's an important point, Brian. I'm glad you brought that up. No comments. No comments. But this is the only time we'll say that.
This is when we're going to get comments.
We probably will get comments. But if you want to comment, then take the survey too. That's all we ask.
Yep.
All right. Any parting words? I think this has been good.
No, Leslie, you hit it. I mean, we just we value the community's feedback, and we hope that you provide it on the survey.
All right.
Yes, thanks everybody. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll be sure to share this here pretty soon in a couple of months ahead.
All right. Join us next time for another rousing edition of Workforce Watercooler, and go complete that survey right now. Help us help you. Thanks. Have a good day.
Go survey.